Praises unto the Most High, brothers and sisters. Baruch are all who revere Yahuwah and walk in his ways. Today we're going to talk about a witness. In the book of Revelations, we're told that we will overcome the dragon by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony or our witness. So I'm going to start out by sharing a little bit about Dawid, King Dawid. Reading from 1 Samuel chapter 17. And David said to the men standing by him, "What shall be done for the man who kills this Philistine and takes away the reproach from Yisrael? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living Elohim?" And Eliab, his oldest brother, heard when he spoke to the men, and Eliab's anger was kindled against David, and he said, "Why did you come here? And with whom have you left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your pride and the naughtiness of your heart, that you are come down here that you might see the battle." And David said, "What have I done now?" Because he's the youngest of, 7 brothers? "Is there not a cause?" He's like, isn't there a good reason for me to be asking these questions? And he turned from him and started speaking to another. And he spoke after the same manner, and the people answered him again after the former manner. And when the words were heard that David spoke, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, "Let no man's heart fail because of him," talking about the Philistine. "Your servant will go and fight with this Philistine." And Saul said to David, "You are not able to go against the Philistine to fight with him, for you are but a youth, and he is a man of war from his youth." And David said to Saul, "Your servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. Your servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing that he has defied the armies of the living Elohim." David said, "Moreover, Yahuwah that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of the Philistine." And Saul said unto David, "Go, and Yahuwah be with you." And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put on his helmet of brass upon his head, and also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he argued, to not go with all this heaviness on him, because he said, "I haven't proved it. I haven't worked with this stuff before. I'm not going out to battle relying on this." Pretty much is what he's saying. And David said unto Saul, "Well, you are a youth, and he's a man of war." But David took his staff in his hand and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in his shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip, and his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. So he drew near to his challenge. He didn't run and hide like the grown men were doing, because he said, "Is there not a cause?" He asked that question. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks?" And the Philistine cursed David by his deities. And the Philistine said to David, "Come to me, I will give your flesh unto the fowls of the air and to the beasts of the field." Then said David to the Philistine, "You come to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield, but I come to you in the name of Yahuwah Sabaoth, the Elohim of the armies of Yisrael, whom you defy. This day will Elohim deliver you into my hand, and I will inflict a heavy blow to you and take your head from you, and I will give your carcass to the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth. And all the earth may know that there is an Elohim in Yisrael. And all this assembly shall know that Yahuwah saves not with sword and spear. For the battle is Yahuwah's, and he will give you into my hands. And it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came and drew near to David, that David hasted and ran towards the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took a stone and slung it and struck the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. Now there is a song that the children of Yisrael, the people of Yisrael used to sing in regards to David. Is this not David, of whom they sang one to another in dances, saying, Saul slew his thousands and David his 10,000s? That's in 1 Samuel 29:5. So he had a reputation. He had a reputation of letting Yahuwah fight for him as he stood in the name of Yahuwah. And that's the thing, when we have our witnesses, when people see what Yahuwah does, others come to know the greatness of our Elohim. I'm going to read a few different verses from Tehillim 18. These are words of a song sung by David when Yahuwah delivered him from all his enemies and from Saul. He starts out, I love you fervently and devoutly, O Yahuwah, my strength. Yah is my rock, my fortress and my deliverer, my Elohim, my keen and firm strength in whom I will trust and take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my high tower. I will call upon Yahuwah, who is to be praised, so shall I be saved from my enemies. In my distress I called upon Yah, cried to my Elohim. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him into his ears. Then the earth quaked and rocked, the foundations also, the mountains trembled. They moved and were shaken because he was indignant and angry. When we're his, he gets indignant and angry when we cry unto him because of someone misusing us or not doing us right. There went up smoke from his nostril, and lightning out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also and came down. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and the thick darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub and flew. Yes, he sped with the wings of the wind. Yah also thundered from the heavens, and the Most High uttered his voice amid hailstones and coals of fire. And he sent out his arrows and scattered them, and he flashed forth lightnings and put them out. So Yah, at the blast of the breath of his nostrils, he reached from on high. He took me. He drew me out of many waters. He delivered me from my strong enemy and from those who hated and abhorred me, for they were too strong for me. They comforted and came upon me. They confronted and came upon me in the day of my calamity, but Yah was my stay and support. So when we're confronted, we have to know that Yah is our stay and our support. In the day of our calamity, Yah is our stay and our support. He brought me forth also into a large place. He was delivering me because he was pleased with me and delighted in me. Oh, wow, here we go. If Yah is pleased in us and delighted in us, he will fight for us. He was delivering me because he was pleased with me and delighted in me. Yahuwah rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to my conscience integrity and sincerity with him. According to the cleanness of my hands has he recompensed me. For I have kept the ways of Yah, and have not wickedly departed from my Elohim. For all his ordinances were before me, and I put not away his statutes from me. I was upright before him, and blameless with them, ever on guard to keep myself free from my sin and guilt. Therefore has Abba Yah recompensed me, according to my righteousness, my uprightness and right standing with him, according to the cleanness of my hands in his sight. You know, we have to remember that too. Are we doing everything we're supposed to be doing? Are we lining up with his Torah? Are we pleasing him in the way we live, the things we say, the way we think, the words we speak? For by you I can run through a troop, David says. I can run through a troop, and by my Elohim I can leap over a wall. The word of Yahuwah is tested and tried. He is a shield to all those who take refuge and put their trust in him. For who is Elohim except Yah? Or who is the rock save our Elohim? The Elohim who girds me with strength and makes my way perfect. He makes my feet like hinds' feet, able to stand firmly or make progress on dangerous heights of testing and trouble. So listen to this. Yah is able to help us to stand firmly and make progress on the dangerous heights of testing and trouble. So David says, he sets me securely upon my high places. He teaches my hands to war so that my arms can bend a bow of bronze. You have also given me the shield of your salvation, and your right hand has held me up. Your gentleness has made me great. You have given plenty of room for my steps under me, that my feet would not slip. I pursued my enemies and overtook them. Neither did I turn again until they were consumed. I smote them so that they were not able to rise. They fell wounded under my feet, for you have girded me with strength for the battle. You have subdued unto me the cause to bow down to those who rose up against me. You have also made my enemies turn their backs to me, that I might cut off those who hate me. Yahuwah lives. Blessed be my rock, and let the Elohim of my salvation be exalted. The Elohim who avenges me and subdues people under me, who delivers me from my enemies. Yes, you lifted me up above those who rise up against me. You deliver me from the man of violence. Therefore will I give thanks and extol you, O Yah, among the nations, and sing praises to your name. Great deliverances and triumphs gives you to your king, and you show kindness and steadfast love to your anointed, to David and his offspring forever. Look at that. So he was talking about all that Yah did for him when he was in battles, when he would cry unto him. The whole book of Psalms is pretty much David talking about how Yah delivered him. He had a witness. He had many witnesses, testimonies of Yah's delivering power. So in Exodus 14, we're reading about Moshe and the children of Yisrael. As Pharaoh approached, the children of Yisrael looked up, and there were Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to Yahuwah. Moses answered, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm. You will see the deliverance of Yah, how Yah will bring you out today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. Yah will fight for you. You need only be still." Then Yah told Moses, "Raise up your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the waters so that the children of Israel can go through the sea on dry land. I will harden the hearts of the Mizrahites so that they will go in after them, and I will gain esteem through Pharaoh and all his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. The Mizrahites will know that I am Yahuwah. I gain esteem through Pharaoh, his chariots and his horsemen." Then the angel of Yah, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them. The pillar of cloud also moved from in front and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Mizrahites and Yisrael. Throughout the night, the cloud brought darkness to the one side and light to the other side, so neither went near the other all night long. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night Yahuwah drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into a dry land. The waters were divided, and Yisrael went through the sea on dry ground with a wall of water on their right and on their left. The Mizrahites pursued them, and all of Pharaoh's armies, his horses, his chariots, and horsemen followed them into the sea. During the last watch of the night, Yahuwah looked down from the pillar of fire and the cloud at the Mizrahites' army and threw it into confusion. He is able to do that with our situations. Throw it in confusion. I have spoken that before. Bring confusion to their camp, Father. I learned that from David. I was read that in Psalms once until heal him. I said, I'm going to use that. Bring confusion to the enemy's camp. Verse 25, he jammed the wheels of the chariots so they had difficulty driving. And the Mizrahites said, let's get away from Yisrael. Yahuwah is fighting for them against us. Then Yahuwah said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the seas that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen. Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The Mizrahites were fleeing toward it, and Yahuwah swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and the horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the children of Israel into the sea, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. That day Yahuwah saved Yisrael from the hands of the Mizrahites, and Yisrael saw the Mizrahites lying dead on the shore. And when Yisrael saw the mighty hand of Yahuwah displayed against the Mizrahites, the people feared Yahuwah and put their trust in him and in Moses, his servants. They had that witness, that testimony that they could rely on when things happened in the wilderness, yet they seemed to forget. And they would murmur and complain. We cannot afford to do that. Deuteronomy 1:29 through 31. Then I said unto you, do not be afraid of them. Yahuwah your Elohim, who is going before you, will fight for you, as he did for you in Masraim, before your very eyes, and in the wilderness. There you saw how Yahuwah your Elohim carried you, as a father carries his son, all the way you went until you reached this place. That's Moses trying to encourage the people. Deuteronomy 3, verse 21 through 22. At that time I commanded Yehoshua, you have seen with your own eyes all that Yahuwah your Elohim has done to these two kings. Yahuwah will do the same to all the kingdoms over there where you are going. Do not be afraid of them. Yahuwah your Elohim himself will fight for you. So Moses was encouraging Yahushua, because remember, he was going to be taking Moses' place and taking them into the promised land. So in other words, what he's done for the other kings, you know what he did to those other kings, those other two kings, he's going to do it for every king in every battle. He's going to do the same thing for you. Be encouraged. Deuteronomy 20. When you go to war against your enemies and see horses and chariots and any army greater than yours, do not be afraid of them, because Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of Mizraim, will be with you. When you are about to go to battle, the priests will come forward and address the army. He shall say, Hear, O Israel, today you're going into battle with your enemies. Do not be faint-hearted or afraid. Do not panic or be terrified by them. For Yahuwah your Elohim is the one who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to give you victory. Wow. So, we have been told the way we're going to overcome the dragon who is going to be seeking to destroy us. He's going to send a flood to hopefully to swallow us up. So many things are going to be happening. 3.5 years of calamities. And Yahushua said, a time like has never been before on the earth. It's going to be great, worse than anything we can even know. And if you were movie watchers and used to watch things, movies of action movies and movies of the apocalypse and all that kind of stuff. I tell you what, they do a good job preparing us, and most people think it's just entertainment, and they got messages all the time. They're hiding it in plain sight, but people look at it as just entertainment, and there are messages there. But anyways, saying all that to say that we can't even imagine. We can't even imagine. So we need to be doing right now, exercising, practicing, stretching ourselves out, a little bit, when we can have faith, but we decide to go use the credit card, all we're doing is digging ourselves in a hole. Trust him. Start exercising. Daniel 11:32 says, the people who know their Elohim shall prove themselves strong and shall stand firm and do exploits for Elohim. We're doing this for him, for his name's sake. So, let's recap. David overthrew Goliath because he relied on his witnesses, his testimonies, his experiences with Yahuwah. And he did not appreciate that man talking about Yahuwah and coming against the armies of Elohim. So he said there was a cause to fight. There was no cause to be fearful. I got to step out in courage. And remember, courage is not the absence of fear. We don't know if David was afraid as a youth coming against that thing, but he didn't let that drive him. Instead, he took courage. And y'all often said, take courage. Take courage. So he took courage. And courage is the mastery of fear. It's not the absence of fear. It's the resistance to fear. It's not the absence of fear. So we have to have courage. We have to have our witnesses. And I ask you, what are your witnesses? What are my witnesses? What do I know of Elohim? What battles can I look back and remember how he fought them? And the battles could be a huge bill. It could be a health issue. It could be anything that we might face, that in our own power, we just don't see how it's going to turn around. What do we know of Yahuwah and his power? What is our witness? What is our testimony? What are we going to be able to stand flat-footed and be able to say, I will not be moved by this evil report, as written in Tehillim 1:12. I'm not going to be moved by this evil report. I'm standing with Yahuwah. And you know what? We should always side with Yahuwah and his word, no matter what it looks like. We can't go wrong. We can't go wrong when we stand with him. Now, I know I sound like I'm an expert. I am not an expert. I am still learning this myself. But I know that it's right to side with Yahuwah. I've seen in his word that it's right to side with Yahuwah. I do have a few witnesses, a few testimonies. It's going to be by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, the word of our witness, that we're going to overcome. So what do we know of Elohim? What have we witnessed in our lives that will come back to remembrance when fear and doubt are lurking, ready to pounce on us, hoping to devour us? What do we know? What is our witness? What do we know? Not just knowledge know, but an intimacy know. What do we know without a doubt? What do we know without a doubt? We have to have confidence in his ability to protect and to provide for us. We have to know him as being all that he says he is, all that we've read in the scriptures. The women who Elijah and Elisha ministered to. We have to know him. We have to be able to fall back on it. We have to know him. David he knew that he wasn't going to be able to approach Goliath in his own strength. So he kept referring back to what he knew about the lion and the bear. He knew that wasn't his own strength. He knew it came from Yahuwah. We also have to know anything that comes against Yah's word. If Yah says he'll protect us, he'll feed us in the time of famine, then we have to know that. If it's fear, we resist it. If it's doubt, we resist it. If it's famine, we resist it. If it's cold, we resist it. If it's heat, we resist it. If it's threat of death, we resist it. By knowing Yah, and we can praise him as David always did, praising him. This right now is our opportunity to see every Goliath like an uncircumcised Philistine, not having any intimidation, but trust and confidence in Elohim fighting for us. This is our time now to be preparing so that we know how to provide the words that we need to resist the enemy. If we plan on surviving, enduring until the end, we have to start standing now, trusting in him, learning with each new experience so that we can stand. This is our training ground right now. But remember, we are more than conquerors through Yahushua. We got to stand. Only those who endure to the end. What does that mean? I take it to mean that it doesn't mean that we might not die. But how do we leave this earth? How do we leave this mortal body? Is it still trusting in Yahuwah when we go? Or do we give in and flee to the other side? People's going to be awful. There's going to be machinery with intelligence greater than that's equal to ours and maybe even greater. There's pestilences and plagues. There's people who are going to betray. There's going to be so much going on that we need to have that perfect peace that he gives to us when we trust him and we keep our mind on him. Even right now, there's different battles going on. The evil spirits are still here. They didn't die in the flood. They always look for a body. And they fight our minds even right now. So we need each other during this time to encourage one another so that we can stand strong, strengthen each other with the word, encourage each other with the word, lay aside everything that doesn't make any sense to be arguing about and not agreeing with. I'm sitting here shaking my head. We have no idea. So besides the pestilences and the plagues and the warfare, there's evil spirits that are going to be even greater. It's an all-out assault on us. And if we don't know our Elohim, we will not be able to be strong and do great exploits. We will not be able to stand firm and do exploits. So, as you know what this channel is about, it's encouraging us to prepare. There's a message on this platform. Prepared to be prepared. I think it's something like that. Prepared to be prepared. Because in order to be prepared, we have to prepare. Even people who are putting away food, they're preparing to have food when things go bad. But in order to prepare to have the food, they got to be preparing. And that's what we need to be doing. Storing up in our inner man what we're going to need to feed on during that time. We are more than conquerors through Yahushua. We win in Yah. He is with us. Some of the words that I read today and other messages read how Yah fights for us. He's with us. I liked how with the recounting of the pardon of the sea, how Yah was looking down from the Shamayim. He had an angel and a cloud that were there, and they were moving in behalf of the people. Yah always goes before us. And then I liked how Dawid said how Yahuwah got so upset, Father got so upset how he was blasting up through his nostrils, wind, and he's for us, people. He is for us. He wants his remnant to make. He wants every single member of his remnant to make it, even though we know some are not. Just like of the 12, there was one who didn't make it. In fact, was a traitor. So let's know him. We don't want to be among them that he says, "Depart from me, I never knew you." What is our witness? What will we be able to stand on? And our confidence and our remembrance of how mighty and how great and how faithful our Yah is. That we won't waver and we won't fear and we won't run to the enemy's camp. What do we know? What is our witness? What is our testimony? Because we need that too, not just the blood of the Lamb. It says they're going to overcome the dragon by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, their witness. Be encouraged, brothers and sisters. I pray you're encouraged and not downhearted and scared, but that you know, okay, I need to do what I need to do to prepare, like you would for a trip, right? Oh, it's going to be a trip, all right. But we'll be fine. When we know our Elohim, we're going to be strong. We're going to stand firm, and we're going to do exploits for him. All praises be to you. Yahuwah, all praises be to you. Because it's you who fights our battles. Until next time, brothers and sisters, peace. You know what peace is, right? Shalama is wholeness. Our entire being is covered because of Yahuwah. We win in Yah. We went in, y'all. We got every reason to rejoice because he's on our side. Or we're on his side. We're on his side. Praise Yah. Praise Yah.